David, Paul Ryan's initiative is the boldest thing that's happened in spending in Washington in the last 3 decades. And I can tell you that the Republicans in the House are solidly behind him on this. And really the battle that we're having tonight is really just a pre-game game. This is not the real game. The real game is going to be when we get up there to raise the debt limit and have to vote on that, whether or not we're going to pass the 2012 budget that Paul Ryan advances, which truly bends the cost curve down. It deals with entitlements long term, cutting $6.2 trillion over 10 years and getting us back to a balanced budget. So absolutely, he has got solid support all the way around.
Congressman, would you be willing to risk another government shutdown in order to stop that debt ceiling from being risen any?
David, we have to take that risk. That is the sort of thing that gets Washington sober again. It gets Washington out of this denial system that we can keep spending without any consideration for cost and future deficits and debts and putting debt on the backs of our grandchildren. And it's only when we go through a process like this that we really get back to honest thinking.
How about you, Senator Shelby? Would you be willing to risk a government shutdown in order to prevent the debt ceiling from being raised any?
I would certainly consider it. I will have to see the debate and be in it at the time. But I'll tell you, the message should be that we've got to cut spending, if it's with a debt limit debate or if it's debate tonight or the debate down the road. If we don't, we're going down the road to financial destruction.
By the way, Senator Shelby, having lived through the longest partial government shutdown we've had in our lifetime anyway, the 21 days from 95 to 96, what lessons were there from that? What lessons were there about whether essential services were provided for and whether innocent people were not caught up in the vortex, the government shutdown vortex?
Well, as I was involved in it. During that, no essential service that I recall was jeopardized for the American people. The armed services carried on. Everybody got paid down the road. It might have been a few days, but I can tell you it sent a message that we mean business. That's what we've got to do as Republicans. We mean business about cutting this deficit and this debt down.
How about cutting the pay for Congress during the government shutdown?
Well, Congress is not overpaid as it is. You know, a lot of them barely making their ends meet here. Most people didn't come here for the money, and we'll go from there. But I think that's more of a gimmick than it is anything.
All right. So I hear a no on that one. Congressman Fleming, what about you? Are you for cutting or furloughing the pay of Congress if there's a shutdown?
Yes, David. I've already put out an announcement. I've posted it on Facebook, done a press release. I do not believe members of Congress should be paid while the American people are suffering through any shutdown, and especially if the military, which is required to work and to serve, even if they're not being paid, occurs. And I'm sure Senator Shelby agrees with me that our first priority here should be to take care of our military and make sure they're paid for the rest of the year, as well as taking care of the elderly, the others who are dependent on the checks that must come to them. But I think we in Congress should be the lowest priority on the pay scale.
I have heard, and Peter Barnes,
can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Senator.
I just want to add, I agree with the congressman. I thought you said we need to cut the congressman's pay and everything else. If the government shut down, I think the congressman should be and the president should be the last ones to be paid.
All right, glad we had that on record. Peter Barnes, you got some late breaking news. Go ahead.
Yes, David. Again, the House Republicans are meeting at 9:45. We presume to consider a proposal. We don't want to deal yet. We don't believe that all the parties have signed off on a deal, but we do know that the House Republicans have prepared another short-term spending bill, another continuing resolution that would fund the government over the weekend and into early next week. And then after that, the Congress would vote on any deal that they reach tonight.
All right. And again, no word from the White House whether they would accept that or the Democrats, right?
They're looking over. Sources say that the White House is looking over this proposal right now.
Breaking developments as they happen right here on Fox Business. Senator Richard Shelby, Representative John Fleming, and of course Peter Barnes. Thank you, gentlemen. Best of luck.